reminded, and I have talked about this a little bit before. I had a similar journey. My father was technically an addict. He was an alcoholic, but he died right after I was born. He was so severely alcoholic, he basically destroyed his liver and died at the age of 47 from liver failure. And that left a void in me that I carried for many, many years, ultimately manifested by some pretty intense anger issues because I just thought life had been unfair. I had lost my dad and I was so focused on needing to know him and have him. I was ignoring the fact, and my mother was careful but clear about living with him was not a joyride. It was not a pleasant experience. And it took me many years, and I went on my own healing journey to try to explore and discover what was wrong with that thinking. And I did, in fact, discover it. In my case, I turned to scripture, and a gentleman that was kind of mentoring me through that part of the journey pointed me to there is a scripture in the New Testament Bible that says, "You've not been redeemed with perishable seed from the futile ways of your forefathers, but rather through the imperishable seed of Jesus Christ and, God the Father." So, not trying to proselytize religion one way or another, but for me, that was a very meaningful pivot. It said, everything I
Yes.
expected my dad to be was futile because he didn't get it any better, any more right than his dad had gotten it, futile ways of your forefathers. And as I studied that a little more, I discovered my grandfather on that side was also an alcoholic. So there had been a generational chain there that had not been broken. And it gave me a different kind of comfort of saying, I was really wrong to have an expectation of something I could have gained by knowing them, because ultimately they didn't have a whole lot to offer. So I think everybody somewhere along the way has a version of a story similar to that with expectations and experiences there.